Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk Midlife Crisis with your hosts,
Ashley
and Tracy.
Welcome back to part 2 this week with Alison Rothman. She's here with us again. Thank you for joining us. We are going to focus a little bit this time on more of the physical well-being and going through midlife. Some focus on diet, herbal supplements for any ailments that you're experiencing, and things you can do to stay fit or just keep up your cardio health, things like that. I know, I've had some issues with tendinitis and arthritis and have learned that I cannot lift weights anymore because I have flare-ups. So I've found other ways to keep my strength and tone and just stay fit. I definitely don't have the motivation that I used to have. I used to love to go hardcore in the gym. And I just can't do it anymore. It's just too much for me. So I've found other things to do. I love to stretch. I don't so much do yoga, but stretching a lot. I love doing, walks, getting out in the sun, hikes. We have some great hiking trails here in Arizona. And then some of the supplements I take, we can touch on, for certain issues that I've had, but would love some of your feedback, Allison, on some of your suggestions for, dealing with your body through this midlife experience.
Awakening.
Dealing with right. Yeah, I think you already brought in a good point that things change, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that there's a huge piece here around focusing on what you can do rather than what you cannot. Mm-hmm. Because we are adaptable as humans. Sometimes we don't feel like we're very adaptable, but we are. And we need to meet ourselves where we are at this juncture of our lives. So I don't know if there's one, this is a big topic, so I don't know if there's one component you want to start with. I mean, maybe let's start with the movement piece.
Yes, I like that.
The exercise piece. And I get it. I, was definitely like a runner and I was trail running and, and now I've got issues with both my hip and my knee, and I can't run anymore. And it just doesn't feel like it's aligned for my body now. So and hip lifting heavy weights is not for me either. I have learned that it builds more tension for me than, so I feel like it's doing more harm than good for me. And again, I keep saying for me because everybody is different. Some people swear by lifting the heavy weights, and that is the key to moving through midlife, strong, fit, etc.
Right.
I personally, I obviously into yoga, but my yoga practice has changed. I use yoga not as a workout, but rather as an opportunity to drop into my body. And so some days that looks like I'm rolling around on the ground. I'm just some days I'm just doing super slow, mindful movements. And that is my yoga practice. I'm not necessarily doing any like traditional poses. Mm-hmm. I'm just getting into my body. Dance is a wonderful thing. Everybody can move their bodies. It's like I always look at what can I bring into my day-to-day. We all have music. You can turn on a song and like cut loose in your living room, huge proponent of that, yes, nature, being outdoors, like what actually uplifts you, because that is what is going to help you to feel better in your body, and as long as you're moving, and yes, hiking for those of us that are blessed in places where there is an incline where we can get our heart rates up through hiking. But I just feel like checking in with your own body and what feels nourishing to you, what feels grounding to you, what feels like it's aligning with you. Like one of the last big runs I went on, I was like agitated the whole time. I was hurting. I was frustrated. It put me in the worst mood the rest of the day. And I was like, okay, ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Note to self, like this no longer gives me that runner's high. This is causing more harm than good to my body. Right. So
For
That's
me,
important. Go ahead.
yeah, for me, I've never done a lot of exercising. I've always been very thin, so I've never had to. And it sounds like, oh, what a blessing, but it really isn't. A weight disorder is a weight disorder, right? If you're too thin or too heavy. But anyways, not about that. But so because I've never exercised a lot, what I found that gives me the most peace is the ocean. There's something about the ocean. Or water. The sound of water is very tranquil to me, as you know, because we spend a lot of time in Mexico.
Yes.
Beachside on the ocean, because that is where I feel, maybe
Yeah.
the most centered and the most calm. So,
But you do ride your bike.
yeah,
You've done
I
that.
do.
So,
Biking is great for aging bodies,
Yes.
for aging joints. It's low impact. You can still get your heart rate up. Getting the heart rate up in some way is important.
Yes.
And I worked with this with my partner. He doesn't exercise much. Like, you gotta, even if you don't need, quote unquote, need to because of your weight or whatever.
Right.
Getting that heart rate up, it's important for our heart health.
Yes.
It's important. And to start shifting, our mindset around what is going to give us those health boosts, and that kind of leads me into food and how we feed ourselves. I am not a proponent of, like, quote unquote diets. I don't believe that there's one way of eating. I believe very much in intuitive eating, but also, to eat as close to the source as you can, like
Yes.
whole foods, trying your best not to do as many processed foods,
Right.
to have like that quota. I'm always like, if you 80% of the time eat really well and 20% you indulge, that's wonderful,
Right.
But I think as we get older, we start to pay attention to the impact different foods have on us, and it's different. Would you agree?
I was going to say that. Yeah. I definitely, there are things that I can't eat now that I could before. And it's simply just a discomfort, whether it's bloating or, stomach issues or heartburn or whatever it might be. There's certain things that my body just can't handle anymore.
Right.
So I've found the things that can, and they, tend to be fresh foods. Obviously, unfortunately, when my kids were young, we probably ate too many processed foods because they were all in sports. I worked full time in an office. We were never home. It was just whatever I could throw on the table. And, as they got older and life slowed down a little bit, fortunately, we made the switch when they were in high school, and now they're all on board with it, which is great. But yeah, it's, you can't keep eating the stuff you ate when you were 20 years old.
Right. And maybe for me, bad habits, right? Again,
Yeah.
I probably have the worst diet ever. But now, I live on sugar. And my breakfast when I was in the office was a donut washed down by soda. And that's how I started my day. But I don't drink coffee. So that was, but anyways, that gives you just a, snapshot into my diet. But now I've heard some things lately that really makes a lot of sense and is making me, and I've never questioned it. I always knew it was bad. But because I didn't have any negative reactions to my body when I was younger, like you said, we were just busy and we just keep going. So now I've heard that what you do in your 50s now has a lot to do with your health in your 60s and your 70s, which is what I am specifically focused on now, and am trying to change my habits of, my diet and exercise now. And it's not that easy, to be honest.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely not. And I think it's like, if you can focus on how you feel, I work with a lot of women who are trying to recover from eating disorders. And, the biggest piece here is like to start to track how you feel when you eat certain things, because that's the greatest, gauge as to how you're going to keep, I feel like shit. Really? I'm going to keep eating something that makes me feel like shit,
Right.
And sometimes you might choose it and okay, I know I'm not going to feel awesome after I eat this, but I'm choosing it anyhow.
Yeah.
But it's like I feel like in midlife everything becomes exacerbated. Everything's exaggerated.
Yes.
So, that extra glass of wine. Oh yeah, I'm like, okay, I used to be able to do that. I cannot do that anymore.
Right.
Whatever it is. So, but to focus on how you feel, rather than how you look, right? And that is like a crucial component
It's huge.
of nourishing our bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you are what you eat, right? Like that's the old saying. Yeah.
We have to supplement our diets with supplements, with herbs, with superfoods, with vitamins and minerals, because even if we eat so clean, we eat local, organic, we're not getting the nutrients we need. We just aren't.
Right.
So I'm a huge believer in superfoods, and namely, and I don't have these on my website. I order from a company called Organic Burst, and wheatgrass, chlorella, spirulina, top 3. I feed these to my teenager. He has no idea, but I just
in a shake. How do you feed it to him?
He swallows them. They're capsules.
Oh, okay.
He has no idea. So I set out a little jar of supplements for him every morning, and he just swallows them. He doesn't ask any questions. So, but yeah, I'm like, he's definitely probably the only teenager who takes wheatgrass.
Oh yeah.
But without getting into like the nitty gritty of every single one of these,
right?
I have found, especially with the green supplements, that they just give this added boost to our systems, and they're good for literally everything possible. So as we're in this aging process, to be supplementing with these greens is like a nourishment, like on the deepest of levels.
So I used to take, because my diet was so poor, and I know this, I don't eat vegetables, corn, but is that really a vegetable? But I used to take a green vegetable pill, and it tasted like green vegetables, and I felt healthier when I took it. Is that in any way, shape, or form what you're talking about when you're saying greens?
These are not vegetables. So they're actually plants. But the beauty of these in particular is that they are right at the source. It's like the chlorella pills and spirulina are literally green capsule things. It is so pure, and so they're not food necessarily, but they're plants. So it is kind of same but different. But to look at the wheatgrass has got, like, people have cured cancer by drinking wheatgrass, and back in the day, I used to take wheatgrass shots, which I can no longer do. They're like nauseating.
Oh, they're terrible.
Terrible.
That's right.
Like literally gagging.
Yes.
But this is an easy way of getting them down. And I have really, especially if don't have the most awesome diet, if you travel a lot, like, they're great to take traveling. And again, I just feel like those in particular are tremendous health boosters.
Awesome.
So Organic Burst, I have found, is a wonderful company, really good customer service. They always have sales going on. And then another one that I do order through them that's really good for hormone balancing is maca. And maca root you can take in a lot of different ways. I have a little powder that I have it in that I mix in with my coffee, because I refuse to give up coffee, like, ever.
I'm with you.
I'm a coffee junkie.
Me too.
I admit it, and I'm owning it. But I doctor it. I put the maca in it, and I put mushroom powder, and I make it so that it's got some health boost. So my point is that I'm all about the health hacks. Like, how can we, like, sneak these things into our diets that we don't even realize, but they are boosting our well-being. They are boosting wellness. Yes.
And without tormenting yourself by taking, like, a terrible shot,
Yeah,
I do a mushroom spray, and it's very minty. It doesn't taste terrible at all. I just spray it in my mouth every morning.
Yep.
And then as far as maca, is that different from matcha? Or is
Yes.
that
So
okay?
that's so matcha is a green tea that is also very medicinal.
Yeah, I love matcha.
Yeah, I love matcha too. I mean, that obviously has caffeine. So maca root, and I don't really know why they say it's good for hormone balancing, but it is.
Oh, that's good to
Wow.
know.
What's that?
I said that's very good to know.
Yeah,
That it's good
yeah.
for hormone
Yeah.
balancing.
Yeah.
It is, and then it also gives you that boost of energy and just
Okay.
like life force. So
I'd
you
be
know, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'd be interested in trying that. I take a B12 supplement every day. And mainly for the energy boost that it gives me. But yeah, I'd be interested in trying the maca.
Me too. Now, is that something that you can put in a drink?
So
As you
I
mentioned
have,
before?
and I'm happy to send you a link. I order this powder that has cacao. It's got a couple of the like chaga mushroom. It's got the maca. It's got turmeric. Turmeric is an
Oh.
excellent anti-inflammatory. Really good for health again from the inside out. And like,
Yeah.
how can we feed ourselves from the inside out?
Right.
Right.
So I order a powder. I can't think of what it's called right now, but yeah, you can. I mean, and then the maca also you can get in capsule
Okay.
through the
Okay.
organic burst. That it's like, okay, if you just need to swallow it, great, and then
Yeah.
it's check it off the list,
Yeah.
right? So and that is like the herbs and like medicinal foods to me. Again, the purest form of
Right.
nutrition. And so another way of getting these herbs in is through tinctures. And so I have a link on my website under herbs.
And remind
This,
us what your website is again?
oh yes, it's embodymylife.com. It's all the way down at the bottom. There's an herbs button, and I have a link to a company called Wish Garden. Wish Garden, they're based in this area. They've been around since like the 70s. They know their stuff. And so they sell tinctures that you put directly in your mouth. And the great thing about this is they go right into your bloodstream.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, at the source, purest form, right into the bloodstream. They've got so many different blends. I mean, I'm happy to list some of my favorites. Emotional Ally is wonderful for just calming the emotional waves. In the thick of COVID, I was like pounding that stuff, like drinking about a gallon, pretty much. It's wonderful just for soothing the nervous system. Liquid Bliss is a little uplifting blend, and they sell it. You can get a pump or like a tincture or a squeeze bottle.
Yeah.
There's one called Deep Stress, and that has in it ashwagandha. And which I want to hone in on ashwagandha here a moment. Ashwagandha is like the miracle herb. It is good for so much, and I actually made some notes because I don't want to forget anything. But it's good for anxiety. It's good for memory, sleep, muscle strength, muscle pain, stress, arthritis, immune health, sexual function. It's grounding. It's nourishing. It's like the health booster, in my opinion.
Some of those attributes, it actually reminds me of like magnesium, what magnesium does for you.
Yes. So magnesium is also a really important one.
I love magnesium. Take it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is a great thing to take. Some people like taking it in the morning. I like taking it at night because it helps me sleep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But it's like all of these are wonderful, and you find your kind of formula for taking them. So did you want to say something?
No, other than I've tried magnesium before, and for whatever reason it didn't work for me. But also, you have to know too that coffee doesn't work for me. I inadvertently tried it in a drink at brunch, and I didn't realize it had cold brew in there. So without even knowing it, I thought I was dying that afternoon. Literally, I didn't know what was happening to me. It didn't register to me that cold brew was a coffee, and it was a very strong coffee, but my heart was racing. I couldn't get off the toilet. It was just, it was so scary. But magnesium kind of does the same thing. So I think maybe introducing it maybe in very, very small doses for myself. Or
I split it up and take 2 in the morning and 2 in the evening.
Yeah. You can't, if you overdo it, it is not good.
Yeah.
So you need to find your own, formula with that.
Right.
But, the Wish Garden, just to loop back quickly, I recommend people go on their website. There's literally a formula for every possible ailment, every possible issue that you may be having.
Yeah,
They
I'd love to see
have
that.
specific ones for hormone balancing, for menopause, for whatever. I don't need to go on and on. You got the picture.
Right. But that's really good information. And it sounds like the names also will help you, in discovering what
you're looking for.
What you're looking for, or what may benefit you most.
Totally. And it's fun. Like, I look at this as like, this is like a creative, fun process of self-care, and, you can bring in different teas when we're, just to complete the thing with herbs. I am a huge believer in drinking really high grade herbal teas, and namely my number one, which again, this is like the be all end all, is Tulsi. I've got all my clients on it.
Okay.
Tulsi, which translates to it's holy basil.
Oh.
And again, I'm looking down because I made some notes because I didn't want to leave anything out. It lowers stress and anxiety, stimulates and revitalizes the body. It lowers blood sugar, decreases cholesterol, decreases inflammation and joint aches. It's good for digestion, healthy skin and hair. It's antimicrobial. It's good for our teeth and bones. It's great for the brain. I mean, it is like the super food of herbs.
Wow.
So there's a brand called Organic India that sells Tulsi teas, and they have a gazillion different blends. And they make one that's Tulsi Ashwagandha, which is what I'm actually drinking here. But there's tons of others if you don't like the taste of this. But again, this is like self-care. This is soul self-care, like pouring a hot cup of tea that is actually doing something really good for your body. And it's easy, right?
Right.
I love that.
That's my herb tangent.
I'm excited to try some of these. I take quite a few supplements, and I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, I cannot take another pill.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I think I went through that a while ago. I was taking so many, in addition to, I guess the only thing I really have to take is my blood pressure medicine. Nothing holistic has ever worked for my blood pressure. It was so extremely high, and then I take a multivitamin. So that was about it. Like you said, I was taking so many different supplements that I just finally at the end of the day was like, never mind. And kind of weaned back on it. I do take something called phytoceramides. I don't know if you've heard of that. And it was something that my esthetician had told me about years ago. And it's coming up again, my annual spa day. But when I turned 40, instead of celebrating and working, I would just go to the spa every year. But I had an esthetician tell me about it. And it's a capsule that you take. But basically, and I have extremely dry skin. But basically, it nourishes you and hydrates you from the inside out.
Wow.
So you can really feel it. And when I, run out or whatever, I can definitely feel the difference. I can feel the difference. Wow. So, and I've recommended it to some of my friends. I'm just going to say I recommended it.
You brought in the hydration piece, and especially, we all live in dry climates, and hydration is really important, and like we can drink all our water, and sometimes we need a little extra help to boost the hydration. So
it is important. And I don't drink enough water, but mostly it was for my skin, you know, and I could just feel it. My hair, everything just is so dry.
Yeah. The desert. Gotta love the desert.
Gotta love the desert. Yeah. And you both just brought up this same point, and this is what, just in thinking about our conversation and just where I am with supplement taking, like I too, I'm like maxed out on
Yeah.
how many pills I can
Right.
swallow, you know,
Right.
and you know, so even just thinking about, okay, what would be the most essential things? Because I mean,
Hmm.
so I rep for Thorne. So I mean, literally every day I was pulling like 20 supplements to
Right.
take,
Yeah.
Yeah.
carrying them with me all day, trying to get them all in all day, and I was like, there's only so much I
Right.
can follow.
And then it's really easy to fall off the
Right.
wagon, because it's
Right.
like, I just don't want to swallow all those
Yeah.
pills today. And before you know it, you haven't
Okay.
taken them for 3 or 4 days and you're feeling the effects of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and that's part of the reason I did the oral spray for the mushroom,
Mhm.
because I was like, this is perfect. I don't
Yeah.
have to take a pill.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I'm
Totally.
interested in the tinctures. I definitely want to look at that website and explore some of that.
Yeah, the tinctures are great. And, you know, it's like, you know, around supplements, like looking at what are the most essential, right?
Hmm.
And to me, it's like probiotics. You know, you
Hmm.
need to, like, how do you support your gut?
Right.
Yes, you can certainly drink the kombucha and you can,
Hmm.
you know, but when we are taking high grade probiotics, I think are really important. And, you know, and they make some specifically for women,
Hmm.
you know, and then it's like the fish oil, the
Right.
DHA,
Hmm.
like that, those are important too. Um, and then I do feel like, yes, a multivitamin, all that stuff is helpful, but you don't want to overdo it, you know?
Yeah.
And I do think our bodies thrive on, they thrive on consistency, but they also thrive on mixing things up, you know?
Right.
So, and, you know, right now I'm on this kick of I'm not taking a lot of supplements. I'm focusing mostly on taking the greens.
Hmm.
And I'm just feeling into it. Like,
Okay.
okay, this feels good. And I'm taking my tinctures because they're
Hmm.
easy and I'm drinking my teas, but I'm not taking a ton of supplements. So
Yeah.
I think it's like, you just figure out what works for you. You got all these tools,
Hmm.
and then what do you need now?
Right.
And it goes back to listening to your body.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If for
Exactly.
some reason something's not being addressed and you do need
Yeah,
to take something else, you got to switch it up. You just
totally.
constantly try to be in tune with your body and what your needs are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I have just gone down to basically a multivitamin, which is really, really good. It's for women over 50. And I love it. My doctor loves it because my blood work comes back very stable. He's like, I don't know what you're taking, but keep taking it. And that's when I kind of weaned off because I was taking so many different ones. But now I think I'm ready to maybe add to that,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and again, maybe mix some things up. And
Right.
supplement my poor diet while I'm trying to change my bad behaviors
habits.
and habits. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, variety is important, is definitely important. And again, you know, like what can you take that is like as close to the source as possible,
Yes.
you know? And that just feels like it is really nourishment like at like the foundation at our core.
Hmm.
So if you
So
had one supplement or tincture, anything to take, only pick one, which would it be for you? That you couldn't live without, that you just had to have?
She's like, one?
mm, can I do two?
Okay, two. Two.
I mean, I think as far as like pill to swallow, I would say wheatgrass
Okay.
because I feel like it does have the most benefits. Um, and then I need my teas. So I would go with the Tulsi, a Tulsi tea, one of the blends. Those two
Okay.
feel top priority.
Awesome.
Interesting. I like that.
Hmm.
I do too.
Hmm.
I do too.
Hmm. Yeah, but it's hard to narrow down just one. You know, and the
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to bring in just quickly, I know we're time is ticking, but I work with a lot of flower essences, and flower essences are extracts from actual flowers that
Right.
work on the emotional level. And so, you know, just in this midlife realm and like, you know, we pull all these different practices together, and that's that really the holistic perspective
Hmm.
is how can we meet ourselves from all these different angles. And I order and make, you know, blends through a company called Tree Frog Farm up in Washington State. And if you look up what flower essences, I've been using them for like 25 years. Again, I put them in like at my household. You can put them in a spray bottle and spray them around your house.
Oh.
So, just dealing with the emotional turmoil, that does come with midlife and the questioning and all of it, all the waves that we're riding, how can you support yourself the most? And sometimes you don't even know. So this is where the flower essences come in. And you can just put a couple drops into your water bottle and sip it throughout the day, and it shifts things. So they're again, it's just deep medicine from the source that are just a profound way of taking care of ourselves.
Yeah. Is that like an essential oil or?
So they're different than essential oils. So
Okay.
essential oils are about the smell, right? I mean, most of the time there are some lines that you can drink,
Right.
but flower essences are, I kind of want to go grab one, but I won't. They extract them from the flower, and for whatever reason, each of these flowers has a different energetic quality to it and a different
Wow.
emotional quality to it. Like, I have a blend, Transform Ease. And it's all about, as we've been talking about, riding these waves, but with a little bit more steadiness, a little more gentleness, a little more softness and compassion.
Wow.
And yes, you would never imagine that a little bottle like this would be able to.
Well, thank you so much, Alison, for being with us today, again this week. For more information, where do we reach out to you for more information?
Thank you for having me. And my website is embodymylife.com.
That wraps it up for today. Thank you for joining us on Let's Talk Midlife Crisis. Embrace the change.
Join the conversation on our website at letstalkmidlifecrisis.com or our Facebook or Instagram and YouTube channels. We'd love to hear from you guys.